Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vaidya's Chess Hub. And today's lecture is about uh, winning in castled positions. It's very important, guys. Okay, the theme is very simple, actually, so to speak. But what I want all of you to learn is that we will find that beginners fail to come up with a plan. So here the intention is going to be to help you create a plan against castled king positions. We will do about, let's say, 6 to 7 positions. By the way, 1 or 2 positions could be delegated to you as homework. And the first position that I'm going to bring in front of you now is black to play. Apart from that, all the other positions are for white to play. So let me pull the board in front of you now, and let us first of all see what our friends are saying in the chat now. But Sarthak is present. Well, you should, Sarthak, be here online 5 minutes in advance. I don't understand why you just come bang on time. It is always better to join the discussion, let's say, 3 to 4 minutes in advance. But anyway, you've not missed anything. So here is the first position for all of us today. This is black to play. Don't rush into the answers. Well, let me come on cam to tell you how much of time I'm going to allot for this one today. I am going to offer 2 minutes for every position. I'm going to give you 2 minutes of time, thinking time, and then I will show you the solution. If you find the answer, you should type the answer in the chat. Don't just type the first move. Type the entire line, guys. Type the entire line, not just the first move. And it is black to play. So there you go. It is black to play. You can definitely see that our opponent has castle. We are black here. So how can we exploit this weakness that white has of the open G file? Let me start your countdown timer. And you have 2 minutes. Share your ideas. Hello, Prateek. Hello, Yogen. So everybody is in. I'm very happy. You have a minute and a half, Yogen, Prateek. Share with me what you think is a winning sequence here. Black to play. Our opponent has castled. That's the theme for today. Winning against castled position. How can we launch a winning attack here? A minute and 5 seconds more. Think about it. It's a very interesting position. Mind you, this is the only black to play position I have for you today. The rest are white to play and wins. That's why you will see the board is flipped. It's black to play. I'm sure Kavish has already thought of something, but I want a complete line, not just the first move, guys. Let me now pull the chat window to see if there is anybody who's thought of any plan. Nope. Pratik has assured that he will think of something, but nothing on the chat so far. Last 20 seconds. So what can black do in this position to win? It's a very nice plan. I'm going to show it to you after 5 seconds. The time is up, by the way, and let me pull up the chat window. And still we don't have anything much in the chat. So I wonder what people thought. So Pooja ma'am, hello. Need an answer. Nobody in the chat window presenting any line, so it is now my duty to share the line with you. So let me pull up the board and you can see me in the corner. Well, the winning trick here that black will employ is the move rook g3 check. Now rook g3 check, and you will definitely think, whoa, what is that, sir? Because the rook can be taken by the pawn on h file, by the pawn on f file, by the bishop here on f4. So how on earth is that a good move? Well, if white goes ahead and takes the rook with any pawn, that doesn't matter which pawn, now we have a move that will set up a checkmate. Very important, guys. Now we will have the move that sets up a beautiful checkmate trick here. And the move I'm looking at is this. You have bishop to h3 and queen h2 will be the checkmate. Now white has absolutely no defense other than just giving his queen away with a check and probably delay the defeat by a few moves. But this is completely winning for black because now black is threatening queen g2 checkmate with the help of the bishop. So let's take a look at what happened here. Rook g3 check, f takes g3. Well, let's look at what happens if bishop takes. If bishop takes, again the same thing because there is no shelter against this g2 checkmate. Let's take a look at another variation where after rook g3 check, what if white does not accept the sacrifice? What if king f1? Well, now there is mate in 2 moves. I'm sure you get that. Mate in just 2 moves, guys. Queen d3 check, king e1 is forced, and then rook g1 is just checkmate. So white cannot disregard or discard the offer, so he has to take the rook, and after that it's bishop h3. If white does not take, and let's say plays king f1, then there is queen d3 check, king e1, rook g1 is checkmate. What a beautiful pattern this is. Okay, so as usual we will pull up the notepad for us to write down the moves in the sequence. Well, I was hopeful people will type in the chat, but I didn't get the answer. So rook g3 check, he will take, and by the way Sarthak is saying queen d1 checkmate. Well, that will not be the case because if we play the move queen d1, let's pull up the board. Like Sarthak is saying, if you think queen d1, if we play queen d1, the rook will just take the queen. So that will be a very, very bad blunder. I'm sure Sarthak didn't see this rook here. So how can queen d1 be winning? Play queen d1, rook takes d1. We will lose our queen. That's not the point. Okay, so now as I said, let's pull up the notepad in order to write down the answer. So what's the answer here? The first move was rook g3 check. First, let's write down the pawn taking the rook. So f takes g3, and then bishop h3, queen g2 checkmate threat. And the other variation I want you all to write is where we have this black player refusing to take. So after rook g3 check, let's say black plays king f1, then we saw what happens is queen d3 check, and then followed by rook g1 mate. So in both the cases it will be 1-0. So make sure that you are writing this down. Let me know in the chat window as soon as you are done with this. And I was hoping that people would come up with this, and this is brilliant. Thank you so much. Ankit Banerjee, thank you so much. By the way, please write it down, and after you're done writing it down, let me know so that we can go on to the next position. So let me pull up the chat window. Let us see what our friends are saying. No, they're still writing the position, so let me again go back to the position. Please write down both the variations and kindly comment in the chat as soon as you are done, so that we will go to position number 2 for today. Are you done writing it, guys? Pooja ma'am, are you done writing? Still have the notepad screen in front? Let me know. Okay, so now people are saying that they are done, of course. So let's go back and deal with the position number 2. So I will pull up the board now. Here you go. And now we are going to deal with the second position for today. And here it is. By the way, this is going to be white to play now. All positions from now will be white to play. So I'll pull myself in the window. You'll see me in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so in this position, you will notice something that the theme is about. So our opponent has castle. We have the knights in attack. We have the queen all lined up. We have a rook that has the open e file. And now I'm going to leave you with a couple of minutes of thinking time. Your time starts now. And try to tell me what is the winning sequence for white here against the castled black king. Well, yes, I beg your pardon. Absolutely. Some people have made me realize that the last one is not 1-0, it is 0-1. Absolutely right. Beg your pardon. Absolutely right. Because it was black to play, guys, the last position. 100%. And thanks for bringing it to my notice. Was done by Kavish. Thank you, Kavish. It was 0-1, guys, not 1-0, because it was black who won the last time. This one, now from now, it is white to play. Thanks for bringing it to my notice. You got 1 more minute and try to find the winning sequence here for white. This is definitely 1-0. Okay, Shriram has shared a line with us. He's saying knight f6 check, king h8, queen takes h7 is checkmate. However, I want to ask Shriram, well, what happens after knight f6, king g7? So let me see if I can pull up the chat window because it's under half a minute now. There you go. So yes, knight f6 check, king h8, queen h7, queen takes h7 checkmate. But what if after knight f6 check, king g7? Then what happens? Think about it. Time is up, guys. Time is up. So, what is the solution? Let us see what our friends are saying in the chat. That's it. No more tries. Okay. Time now for me to show you what the answer actually is. Well, Shriram, you should be happy because indeed what you said is the first move. So, knight f6 is the first move. Notice, guys, it's a check. So, black will have nothing to do but deal with the check. And yes, if king h8, then queen takes h7 is indeed checkmate. But my question to Shriram was, what happens if knight f6 check and black comes king g7? Then what do you do? Well, let me come on camera for that. Well, then what happens is that it's made in 4 moves. It's made in 4 moves from here. And let me show that to you. I'll show that to you. So what happens after this, guys, is that the first move is queen takes h7 check. Now the fourth move for black is king takes f6. Then you have knight e4 check. The fourth move is king f5. Then queen takes f7 check. Now the king has no moves. You should notice that. The king has no moves. Can't take the pawn. Can't take the knight. Cannot go to any squares here. So the king has no moves. So is it checkmate? No. Black has only one option to cover the block the path, cover the check with the queen, and now queen takes f6 is checkmate. Let us deal with it one more time. So Sriram, you were right, but you had to calculate what happens after king comes to g7. So queen takes h7 check, king takes f6, knight e4 check, king f5, queen takes f7 check, queen blocks the check, and queen takes f6 is checkmate. Notice the queen is supported by the knight. Well, such checkmates are very interesting because remember the principle. Pull the king towards your camp. Remember this idea. Keep giving the check, circumnavigate the king kind of, and pull the king to your side, to your camp. That's exactly what happened here. Okay, so now let us pull the notepad and write down the solution. So this is your notepad. Let me get rid of the things already present, because this was applicable for the last one. And by the way, because it was black to play, it should have started with white dot dot dot. By the way, the first move of white would be blank. So here now this is white to play for sure. Knight f6 check is how we started. Then you have king g7, well, you should mention that if king h8, well, then queen takes h7 is mate, so that is not applicable. Anyway, you still play queen takes h7 check. The king will take the knight on f6. After that you have queen knight e4 check. After that you have king f5. Then what you play is queen takes f7 check. Now the only option black has is to block the check with the queen, and then queen takes f6 is checkmate, and this time it is indeed 1-0. Okay, so what a brilliant finish this was. Make sure that you are writing the complete thing. The first move, getting the first move is not enough. Got to see the entire sequence, guys, not just the first move. What a beautiful sequence it was. And Shriram, well done. You thought of knight f6 first. And yes, if king h8, then queen takes h7 mate. But if king comes to g7, then what do you do? Is what you can see on the notepad, in the notepad here. Great. Let me know as usual once you are done writing, so that we can proceed to the next position, guys. How nicely was the king pulled up from his castled safety into the open, and the knight and the queen coordinated so well. It was a sacrifice of a knight. The other knight assisted the queen in delivering the checkmate. Beautiful. All right, let's see what our friends are saying in the chat here. Are they done writing the position? Well, Pooja ma'am is saying done, and now Shriram is also saying that he's done writing the answer. Okay, so let us now go ahead and study the next position. Pratik is saying he's done as well. Wonderful, guys. So let me take you back to our board, and now this is going to be our third position. I repeat that all are white to play now. Only the first position was black to play. And once again, I apologize for writing it 1-0 and starting with the white move. It was black to play, guys. Okay, so what is this position here? Let us take a look at the important things to note here. The important things to note here are rather that there's no shelter on f7 and h7. The king is quite into the open. Our queen and our rook look menacing, and we have this rook on the semi-open file here, and the pawn here on e6. Whoa, what a beautiful control on f7. So all the things are working well for us. I'm sure you have noticed all those things, and now also notice that your countdown timer has started. 2 minutes, come up with something good. Lavanya Kelaskar has probably joined us a little late. Well, you shouldn't be late, Lavanya. In this position, white, I think this is one of the easier positions that you will deal with. Clearly, you can see our queen, our rooks, very active. Try to come up with a decent plan to win here for white. Okay, so do you think that there is a queen sacrifice here? Do you think that we should first probably play doubling of rooks? Or do you first think that we should take the pawn on g6 So many things to think. What do we do? Another 40 seconds to come up with something, and if you indeed have the answer, you can type in the chat window. So Yogen thinks the first move is G takes H5. That is an impossible thing. It's white to play. I wonder what G pawn will do taking on H5. Yogen, it's white to play. Five more seconds. That's it, you got. And your time is up. Let me pull the chat window. And do we have any answer at all? No, just the G takes H5, which is impossible because it is white to play. Very sad, guys. Very sad. I thought people will try. They would have some idea. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. Getting the answer is not getting the answer is okay as long as you put some thought into it. Let me share the answer with you. So here we go. You should go back to the board. And now here is the position. So the answer here is as follows. Rook, which is on the H file, should go here to the G2. Well, that's perfect computer winning strategy. I will share one more. Rook takes G6 is such a direct approach. I like that. But first, what has happened thanks to this move, you will notice is that the queen is pinned. I'm sure you have noticed that, guys. Did you notice this? The queen gets pinned. But now you will say, sir, what's the point? I mean, easily knight can just take the rook. So let's say if knight takes the rook, now you have rook G2, and after that it is just resignation on the cards, because no matter what black does, you cannot stop this knight from falling, and subsequently the queen will be pinned. However, let me show you one line where it is king f8. Against king f8 you have rook takes G6. Now notice that if queen just saves herself to, let's say, queen c7 or something like that, now queen h8 check, king e7, queen f6 check, king d6, e7 is a discovered check, king c5, queen takes f5 check, queen e5, and queen takes e5 check, rook will block it, and then queen e3 check, rook d4 is the final try, and queen takes d4 is made. Whoa, what an extensive rally that will be. So nothing of that actually happened in the game. White is crushing. Here, after knight takes and rook takes, black played queen e5. And then what happened is queen takes g6 check, king f8, queen f7 checkmate. This is actually what happened in the game. However, I showed you the long cut for victory. Rook h to g2 also wins on the spot. However, if you want a more direct approach, then yeah, rook takes g6. What happens, guys, if queen takes g6? That's also an interesting option, is it not? Well, in this case, it is mate in just one move. Type it in the chat. In this position, mate in one. I want the answer in the chat. From this position, it is mate in one move. So how many students now can tell me? White to play and checkmate in one move. Can Kavish tell me the answer? Can Ankit Banerjee tell me the answer? Mate in one. If queen takes. Yes, that is right. Queen h8 is checkmate as shared by our students. Everybody is saying that. Wonderful indeed. Let me pull up the chat window. There you go. They're saying queen h8, and that is correct. Queen h8 will indeed be checkmate here. You just go all the way to h8. The support of the rook is present, and there's this beautiful pawn covering f7. Okay, so we are going to write down what actually happened in the game. So what happened was rook takes g6, then knight takes g6, and then rook g2, queen e5, queen takes g6 check, king f8 and queen f7 is checkmate. However, as homework, you can try this line where I told you that after this, what happens if king f8? It's a big line. At home, you can do that as homework. So rook takes, queen saves herself, and queen check, and pull the king all the way. By the way, this pawn move is a check. It's a discovered check by the queen here. The pawn moved and it's a check. And after this is just technique of simple finish. Anyway, I'm not going to deal with that variation because that did not happen in the game when this game actually was played. This is the variation that happened. Let us write it down. I will pull up the notepad now. So the variation we are going to write is rook takes g6, then knight takes g6. Let us pull up the notepad and let's start writing. So rook takes g6. What black played was knight takes g6. After that, what did we do, guys? We played rook g2, that is to pin the knight. Then black played queen e5, because now black knew that there was a queen that will probably need to be saved. Then you have queen takes g6 check, queen takes g6 check. Then you have king f8 followed by queen f7 checkmate 1-0. Please write it down and let me know in the chat window as soon as you're done writing this, guys. We are of course delegating some homework to you, and the homework is you got to calculate that line, the big line. What if just black saves the queen and you have to pull the king all the way up to our side and then deliver the checkmate on d4 as I showed you. You can take care of that as homework. Let me know in the chat window as soon as you're done writing it so that we can proceed. Alright. Can we proceed? Are you done writing? So let's see what our friends are saying in the chat. Yes, Kavish is saying he's done. Please write it down. Okay, now most of the students are done. That's what that is the message I'm getting on the chat. So I think we will now proceed to the next position. Let me pull up the board now, and your next position is this. Again, it is white to play, and think of a very nice winning plan. I will start your timer. You get 2 minutes. Of course, it's a castled king position. The black king is on h8, beg your pardon. Your 2 minutes have started, and come up with a brilliant idea to bring victory for white. It is white to play. Yogen, it is white to play. Don't suggest a move for black. White to play. All the best, guys. Again, notice that the rooks, the queen, bishop, they are all on the king's side, waiting for the attack. To launch the attack, let's say. And white can definitely win here. How? The technique is the question. Now look at the possibilities here. Do you want to play queen h6 first? Do you want to play rook takes g7? Do you want to play rook takes h7? What it is that you want to do? Do you want to safeguard your king first? Play king f2? I don't know. What are your ideas here? You have another roughly 40 seconds before I share the answer with you. White is clearly winning, guys. Shriram, waiting for an answer from you. Pooja ma'am, the senior most student. Pratik has delivered a line. Pratik is saying Rook G3, King takes G3, Queen H6 is checkmate. But then Pratik, I have a question for you, which I will ask after another 5 seconds when the time shall be up. And it is time up. Okay, so let me see what our friends have shared with us. Well, what they shared basically, I'll show you, I'll pull up the chat window. Well, they are saying Rook G3, King takes G3. How is that possible? I have no idea. So Rook takes G7, King takes G7, Rook H3. Another line is G takes H6. I don't know. Well, I'm going to now share the answer here. Well, our new student is saying Rook takes G7, King takes G7. By the way, it is not compulsory that Black takes it, but yeah, King takes G7, then Queen G3 check, then B4, then King E7, Rook H7 checkmate. We'll find out. Here is the winning move, guys. Rook takes G7 is indeed the first move. Now remember the threat here. The threat is if King does not take the sacrifice, accept this sacrifice, then Rook H takes H7 is checkmate. Not Rook takes H7 because this Rook can also take. It is Rook H takes H7 checkmate. So Black has to take it. Now you have Queen H6 check. Well, this is the important move, guys. Queen H6 check. This is such an important move, guys. Queen H6 check. Now the move is King to F7. I will tell you what happens if King H8. If King H8 was simple, Queen takes H7 is checkmate. So why will Black do that? King F7. And now still it is mate in 1. It is Queen takes H7 checkmate. So how close was everybody? Was Ankit the closest? Was Sriram the closest? Very nicely worked out. Let us take a look at the position one more time. Rook takes G7. Black has to take the sacrifice, as I said. Otherwise, the threat is Rook H takes H7 will be checkmate. So King takes G7 and Queen H6 check. If King H8, then Queen takes H7 mate. Therefore, King F7. Still, it is mate in 1 after Queen takes H7 because of this lovely pawn on F5 covering the squares G6 and E6. It is such a beautiful position. Look how the king looked safe apparently in this position. The king looked so safe, super safe, all protected. But we busted open the king side position, delivering a checkmate. So let us pull up the notepad and write it down. I will show it to you on the board. Because what happened was that there was this chat window on, so students could not see it. So I will probably take you through the position. Rook takes G7. The threat is the other rook will take on H7 and checkmate. So King takes G7. Queen H6 check. If now King goes to H8, then Queen takes H7 is mate. So King F7 and after this, Queen takes H7 is indeed checkmate. So this is just amazing. I'm sure that we should now write down. Before that, because you didn't have this window open, you had the chat window open. So I will probably show it to you one more time. Rook takes G7. The threat is the other rook delivering checkmate. So King has to take the rook. Queen H6 check. King F7. And Queen takes H7 is checkmate because of this lovely pawn. Doesn't allow the king the escape route E6 and G6. Fantastic. Let me know if you have now understood it perfectly of how to execute this. And by the way, Saumitra, you're heavenly late, but this class was meant for B batch, so I wouldn't mind you joining it, but this is the B batch lecture. Fine then, time for the notepad. Let me get rid of the things that are already there on the notepad from the last position. And what is the answer here? We all know that. Rook takes g7. Then king takes g7. What was the move after that? Very important move. Queen h6 check. King f7. You should write if king h8. Then queen takes h7 is checkmate. And the third move is anyway queen takes h7 checkmate. This is 1-0 indeed, guys. Please let me know as soon as you are done writing the answer. So let me know so that we can proceed. We have covered up a lot of decent positions. We have more. I'll delegate one position for homework. I'm sure that I have that in my agenda. So I have decided that we'll probably do 1 or 2 positions more, and then you can tell me whether you're keen on doing the homework for 1 position or 2 positions. Are you done writing it? Some of our students are saying that they are done. As soon as I get about a nod from 2 or 3 of you, I'm going to continue to the next position, guys. Wonderful studying these positions. Let me pull up the chat window to share with you what our friends are sharing with us. Yes, they are saying they are done. Time to move to the next position, guys. Wonderful. Thank you. So this was the position we were studying. And now our next position. White to play. I need not tell you this over and over again. It is white to play. Let me have myself in the bottom right corner. There you can see me now. Now let us look at the position here in terms of understanding the fundamental. Both the sides have got 2 rooks and a minor piece. White also has the same. And white in fact has a pawn less than black. So white has a deficit of a pawn, but white is going to win here. This is castled king position. The king is on g8, and white's rook here looks almighty and powerful. So these are the things you have to work with. And now I shall start your countdown timer. It has started. 2 minutes. Try to find out the winning sequence for white. All the best, guys. Hope you are working on the solution. You got a minute and 15 seconds more for this. Share a line with me. Sharing just the fact that you probably have the answer is not going to do any good. Share the line. Again, let me give you some options here. Okay, so I was saying, let me give you some options. What I was saying is that you first of all probably thinking rook c8 check, bishop takes d5 check, maybe rook e8 check. So those are your options. Now Purvesh Kulkarni is saying bishop d5, knight will be captured, and then rook e8 is checkmate. Well, not the best of typing skills, but I think he has the point. Saumitra is sharing some answers with us. So let me now pull up the chat window. You still have probably 8 or 7 seconds left. This is what we are getting, guys. So bishop takes d5 check, king f8. The time is up, by the way. So bishop takes d5 check, king f8, rook c8 check, knight blocking it, rook taking the knight is checkmate. Fine then, Pooja ma'am thinks that rook c8 check is the first move. So now time for me to reveal the correct answer, and let me show you the winning methodology. The winning move here is definitely bishop takes d5 check, and congratulations to all those who found it. Bishop takes d5. Let me come on cam to say that. It's a very heartening thing. So congratulations to all those who found it out. Okay, I'm really happy. Bishop takes d5. It's a sacrifice. Let us see how that works and why that works. Okay, so let's get back to the board. It works. It's a beautiful sacrifice. What happens here is that after this, if the king, let's say, goes into corner to h8, notice now he has made a back rank weakness for himself. And so now it is mate in two moves here. How is the mate in two moves here? Rook c8 check. Notice now that the black king has nowhere to go except for, the knight that can block the check. That's the only move, in fact, the first move, knight g8. And because of this bishop and rook aiming at g8, you will simply play rook g8 checkmate. So therefore, after this move, bishop takes d5, black will have to take this bishop. I will tell you what happens if it is king f8 also. Let's say king f8. What happens now? Now the king is not in any back rank threat. Well, in this case, what happens is, you should notice that this rook is so powerful on the e file. So you still go ahead and give the rook c8 check, because now the only move black has, now the king cannot go back to g8. There is bishop, there is rook, everything. So the only move now is to block the check with the knight. And now, surprise, surprise, any rook taking the knight will be checkmate. Whether rook e takes or whether rook c takes, doesn't matter, it is checkmate. What a beautiful continuation. There is this third variation I want to share with you. Bishop takes d5 check if black goes ahead and takes the bishop, which I believe happened in the game. So we're going to write down that line. Knight takes d5, and now you have rook e8 checkmate, taking full toll of the back rank weakness. That's the key. So in chess, this is the point I want to make, and so let me come on cam for that. You should remember, in chess what happens is, whenever your opponent makes a move, whenever the piece moves from one square to the other, it stops doing what it was doing on that square. When the knight was on f6, the knight was providing some sort of protection on the back rank. But as soon as the knight came forward and took our bishop, the back rank weakness was created. So I'm sure you enjoyed this position. It's just beautiful position. And I'm sure you have studied all the variations and got all the variations I showed you. So let me go back to the board and probably select one to write in the notepad. So bishop takes d5 is for sure the first move. That there is no doubt about. What is going to be the next after bishop takes d5? It's a check, mind you. Bishop takes d5. Well, black has options. We are going to write the line knight takes d5. Okay. So let me pull up now the notepad. Here you go. Bishop takes d5. We are going to write down the line knight takes d5. What was the second move then in that case? Because the knight took, the back rank weakness was created, and therefore rook e8 is checkmate. We will write down one more interesting variation, which was with the king with the knight not taking the bishop. So after bishop takes d5 check, what's the variation that can be created? King f8. I like this, the king f8 variation, because I'll tell you why we are writing it. Is this move king f8 that makes you realize how the rook on e1 is so powerful. So you still play rook c8 check, back rank weakness. The knight has to block the check, knight e8. The beautiful aspect now is whether rook c takes on e8 or if rook c takes e8, doesn't matter. So rook e or rook c, it doesn't matter which rook, it's still checkmate. I think this is a very interesting variation to write. Very important. Let me pull the black notation a little further away so that it doesn't mix with the white thing. There you go. I will probably, yes, this is nice. And now you will see everything properly. So let me know in the chat window. Yeah, people are writing it. Make sure you copy everything properly, especially this last move, guys. Rook C takes E8 or Rook E takes E8. Both lead to checkmate. Doesn't matter which rook takes. After you are done writing, kindly let me know in the chat so that we can proceed to the next position. And that shall be the position which we will do here, and later after that position I will delegate a position for homework. So Shriram is telling me that he is done writing. Saumitra likes sacrifices. Thank you so much. Yes, they are delightful. That is the heart and meat of chess. Sacrifices are indeed beautiful. Are you done writing, the others? Pooja ma'am, are you done writing? Sarthak, let me know. Yes, now let me pull up the chat window to show you what our friends are saying. They're saying they're done. Sacrifices are beautiful. Wonderful. Let me come on cam now to share something that I just thought I should, because this is going to be our last position to where I will show you the answer. And then there will be one position that I will want you to do as homework. Now here is what we did with the lecture for the A batch, and the offer extends for the B batch students as well. Let me tell you what. The position that you will have for your homework is what you should solve, and later in your uniform send me a nice snapshot, not the video, a snapshot with the correct answer. I will share your photographs with everybody in the next lecture on YouTube. I promise I will do that. So try to find the answer, try to be in the uniform. Of course, those who are YouTube students, they don't have the jersey. Well, then any jersey will do with your full name and everything. And I promise that I will share your snapshots onto our channel and tell the world that you got the answer. Sounds interesting? Let me know. A batch guys have this offer, and now I'm giving it to B guys as well, B batch guys as well. So we will do this one position. The position after that is your homework, and so try to solve that position, send a good photo, and I will make you famous. Sounds interesting, right? So this is what it is. We were dealing with this position, and I think now we will go to our last position with discussion, that is. This is the one position where I will be perfectly okay if you don't get the answer. Let me come on cam for that. Okay, I'm serious about this. So what am I saying here? This position, there is a reason why I have kept it at the end. This is the one position that will make you realize of how in depth and clear the line of thought should be when you make a plan. So I am okay if you don't get the answer for this position, because it's a little tricky for the B batch. I will explain you the motive, I will explain you what to do, and then you should appreciate the beauty that was involved in the planning process. So I will still give you 2 minutes as usual, but believe me, if you don't get quite a concrete line for this, it is perfectly okay. I will share the line with you, the solution with you. So let me pull up the board. This is the position at hand, and let me now start a couple of minutes of thinking time. All the best. Try to do the best you can. We are going to have a detailed discussion about this, and then your homework, and then time to stop. All the best. Another minute and 14 seconds for you to find out what you think is the answer. So far in the chat window I've got nothing. Pooja ma'am thinks knight takes h6 check is going to be the first move, she thinks. Immediate attack. So let me see how many people actually think of a plan. I've already said it is perfectly okay for this position for you not to come up with the absolutely correct, authentic reply. It's okay, but try. When you start thinking, you come up with ideas, that's for sure. Okay, another 15 seconds more. Did you come up with something? I have a few answers, but again, as usual, you know what? People are only telling me the first move. How will that ever work? When you make a plan, you got to have the full line. Okay, so let me now come on cam, bring the chat window also. There we go. Well, people have tried. Let me appreciate that first. Now, when I explain it, make sure that you're 100% actively looking at this position, because this position I'm sure will improve your understanding of how to plan an attack, especially against a castle king when you have active pieces. Are you ready? I hope you are. Don't write down the answer. I will give you time for that. First, let us understand it. So I will go straight away now to the board. This is what the position was. And now let me show you the plan. The plan is that we will first eliminate this bishop, and I will tell you why to do that first. So the first thing is rook takes d7. That's a very important sacrifice. Queen takes d7, and now the winning move here is queen g4. Notice the idea here is knight. First of all, the knight and the queen are threatening a checkmate here, and you cannot stop this threat by playing something like g6 here. You cannot stop this by playing g6. So let me first of all show you what it is that will happen. What will happen if indeed black plays g6? If here to save the mate, if black plays g6, that really is no defense, because you should notice that this pawn here is pinned all the way by bishop here on b3. Notice this, a beautiful pin that is. So white will still go ahead and take the pawn, and after king h8, queen g7 is just checkmate. Beautiful indeed. So after queen g4, there is no way of stopping this checkmate except for just taking this knight, and I think that should be a comfortable victory after f takes and then continuing the threat. But you're already a queen up here. It's a decent victory. Now let me show you why that sacrifice on d7 was so important. What did I share with you? We want with the queen to come on g4 to threaten the mate. Why that sacrifice is so important is because if you play queen g4 check right or queen g4 right away, bishop will be able to take on f5, so there is no threat. And if you go ahead and take the rook, black will also take your queen. So this is not as promising. That's why you have to realize that this bishop holds value of stopping or taking our knight. So you got to eliminate that first. And after you do that and the queen takes, now you have to play queen g4. The threat is queen takes g7 checkmate. And notice this pawn is pinned by the bishop on b3. And I have no doubt that you simply love this position. It is amazing. The thing is, here there are two variations I want you to write. When we go to the notepad, we have to make sure that we write both the variations. So why am I saying that? If you play queen g4, you know that queen g4 was the winning idea. The point was, if you play queen g4 first, then bishop takes f5 will happen. Okay. So we got to eliminate that bishop on d7 first and then play queen g4, threatening queen takes g7, checkmate. So we will write that variation, but be very mindful why we sacrificed on d7. That bishop was stopping us from getting that victory. Alright, so here is what it is. Queen g4, g6, fine then. Master Sarthak wished. I don't quite understand what you are saying and doing. The point is that I hope you understood what I was trying to show you in terms of the moves. That is what I will better want you to focus on. Let's pull up the notepad, and this is what we are going to write. The variation with the sacrifice first. Let me clear everything. This was about the last position. After this, I already told you we are going to do this homework position. We're going to see that. So rook takes d7, queen takes d7, and now queen g4. The threat is queen takes g2. So queen takes f5 followed by e takes f5. I'm going to write down here that if black does not give up the queen and plays g6, then queen takes g6 and queen g7, checkmate. Please make sure that you write this down, and also in the chat window let me know as soon as you are done writing it. So Saumitra had a discovered idea. I'm sure, Saumitra, you had the idea where knight takes h6 check and you win the queen, but that wouldn't be necessary because g7 is mate anyway. Okay, so please write down. You have 3 moves to jot down, and then I shall come to that homework position. We'll discuss about it. Remember that after you get the answer, share the answer on WhatsApp, share a good photo, and then I'll share that snap with everybody in the next lecture. Let me know in the chat as soon as you're done writing. Seniors, do that. Let me pull up the chat window. They are saying done writing. Yes. Great. So now I suppose we can go back to the board. This was the board for one last time because now it is homework time. There you go. This is your position. It is white to play. Let me discuss this. Let me pull myself into the frame and you will see me now in the bottom right. Yeah. So what is the position here? The position here involves, of course, the castled king. That's the theme. I'm not going to deviate from that. And look at the material. Both of them have the queen, have a rook, and have a minor piece. The pawns are 3 pawns to 4 pawns. So white has a deficit of a pawn, but this pawn on e5 does look pretty nicely positioned. Okay, closer to the opponent king. These are the things you have to work with and try to find a winning plan for white. I repeat that if you get the plan, you should actually go ahead and share the answer on WhatsApp with a good photo. Not a video, a photo. And I will promise that I'll share, if the answer is correct, I will share your snapshot for the next lecture that we shall have. Okay, so let me pull up the chat window, but I think it is better you jot down the position. So in the chat window, please let me know if you're done jotting down the position. You have to write down the position, guys. Please jot down this position. King h2, white queen is on d6, rook on a7, bishop on a3. Please write down this position. And let me know in the chat once you have made a note of it. All the best. I've shown you that white has a decisive advantage here. The pawn is well placed on e5. The rook is on the 7th rank. All set for a good attack. White should have a victory here, but how is what you find out. This lecture will be there on YouTube, of course. So if in case I close the window and you're unable to complete writing it down, you can again go back to YouTube and find this. But people are already saying in the chat window now that they are done. Let me show you. Here is the chat window. They are saying that they are done. Noted the position. Even Purvesh has done that. So now it is time for me to say goodbye to you. I loved presenting these positions to you. What did we learn today? We learned how to plan an attack against the castled king position. We did quite nice positions. I tried to bring you a few positions, worthy, noteworthy positions from the point of view of your level. Hope you enjoyed it. Do the homework. Until next time, take care.